How could heavyweight boxing ever hope to approach the excitement of the 70s after the fall off of the 80s? Well, first of all, the 80s wasn't necessarily a fall off, at least if you ask me. It was awesome in hindsight. You're about to see that the lost generation actually set up the Silver Age perfectly. We left off with Mike Tyson reigning over the division. Can he continue that? The odds say yes. You're in for a ringer here in the 90s. Lock in. Subscribe and ring the bell. This is the Silver Age of heavyweights that you won't see coming. These old timers can't be serious. If this decade is going to be anything like, oh, wait a second. George Foreman just dented Jerry Cooney's skull in with that knockdown. Cooney's on the way up and oh, yeah, that's it. Second round KO. All right, I'll take it back. This is a great start to the decade. Geezers or not. The baddest man on the planet is up again. It was widely expected that Mike Tyson's dominance would continue for a long time, and that was shattered by James Buster Douglas. 10th round knockout. It was arguably the grandest upset in boxing history, and Tyson's downfall was in bloom. Unless he bounces back, that is. The last time we saw Michael Dokes, he gave Evander Holyfield all he could eat before falling to the real deal. Razor Riddick eviscerated Dokes in the fourth with some of the most bloodthirsty lefts you'll ever witness. Boxing ain't no game. It was indeed the road back for Mike Tyson. The former champion tucked away Henry Tillman in the first round, reminding the boxing world of his former glory. Maybe it was just an off night against Buster Douglas. Surely a rematch is necessary. I do love the sleepers. Let me put you on, viewer. Ray Mercer and Burt Cooper put on a back and forth slugfest. Broken jaw, busted up faces, grit and grind. This is a fight you need to watch for yourself. Mercer won a unanimous decision after 12 rounds. On the undercard of Douglas Holyfield, I introduce you to Riddick Big Daddy Bowe. Against Burt Cooper, Bowe made easy work of his man in the second round. Good enough showing, but looking forward to seeing what else he does, and if he'll clash with his Olympic rival, Lennox Lewis. Evander Holyfield made it clear from the jump that he wanted to be undisputed heavyweight champion. It ain't against Tyson as expected, but he's got a shot. And he made the best of it too by knocking Douglas out in the third round. Hopefully Holyfield and Tyson can get it on soon. The inaugural WBO title holder is up, and he's down. Despite getting the better of the action initially, Francesco Damiani was stopped in the ninth by a perfectly placed uppercut into his nose. Ray Mercer was the new WBO titleist. A battle of the top contenders. Let's see if Razor Riddick is for real. Mike Tyson's return to the top met a solid test in the hard-hitting Riddick, but a controversial stoppage in the seventh ensured a rematch. This means Tyson and Holyfield still won't be getting it on. Just yet. Old man George Foreman has the opportunity to fulfill his promise of becoming heavyweight champion again. If he wins, he'll be the oldest champion ever. Despite a decent showing, Foreman was unable to outdo the worthy champion, Evander Holyfield, and it was a 12-round unanimous decision. Good outing for both men, who are the real deal in their own respective rights. Time for that rematch. The first bout between Iron Mike and Razor Riddick was a car crash, mostly for Riddick, but this time around it was a demolition derby. Again, mostly at the behest of Riddick. Tyson dropped Riddick en route to a decision win. The beating Riddick endured actually served to raise the public opinion of him. We'll see how that goes over. Despite representing Canada at the 1988 Olympics, Lennox Lewis had shifted to championing his home of England in the pros. We'll see how Frank Bruno feels about that down the line. Lewis knocked out Mike Weaver, an ex-champion, in the 6th. That's a nasty right hand this fellow has. Michael Moorer is one of the newer heavyweights, having ascended from the light heavyweight class. As with Evander Holyfield years earlier, Alex Stewart acted as a measuring stick. It was a slugfest, one you should watch in full for yourself. I almost don't want to spoil it for you, but this is a historical video. Moorer came out on top behind 3 knockdowns in a 4th round TKO win. Back to Riddick Bowe we go. Bruce Seldon, known as the Missile here on BoxingPedia, and for good reason, see the special edition, failed to pose any resistance against the rising star. It was a 1st round knockout. An entertaining one, nonetheless. Ray Mercer's moniker as Merciless looked to be at jeopardy. Tommy Morrison was piecing him up until he gassed and was absolutely decimated in the 5th by Mercer. Seriously, it's one of the most disturbing finishes you'll see. Give this one a watch in full, or at least that final round. Mike Tyson had to pull out of this would-be fight with Evander Holyfield, so Bert Cooper stepped in. Cooper, rather shockingly, was giving Holyfield the business here and there, and managed to even drop the champion. Evander rose and tucked Cooper away behind a series of unanswered uppercuts and an overall barrage that not many would have survived. 7th round TKO. Very entertaining. Larry Holmes, that old treat chopper. The old lion wants his crown back, and his journey must go through the young and hungry Ray Mercer. Larry overcame the merciless one, outfoxing his younger opponent en route to a decision win, and proving that he was indeed still for real. And it all comes crashing down. There will not be a Tyson versus Holyfield affair because Iron Mike has been convicted of sexual assault. He was sentenced, and the heavyweight division, especially now, was as wide open as ever. Who would have won if Tyson and Holyfield got it on around this time? Let me hear you in the comments on this one. I don't know about you, but I always had an invincible image of George Foreman's mug in my mind. That was until I watched this fight between he and Alex Stewart. Stewart gave Foreman the worst beating of the old Lion's career, but the night still belonged to the ex-champion who won a majority decision. Foreman dropped Stewart en route to victory, of course. You know I got your hookup, another sleeper's on deck. The vacant WBO title was contested between Michael Moorer and Bert Cooper in a slugfest. Both men absorbed beastly beatings and tasted the canvas, but it was Moorer who prevailed in the 5th. Watch this one for yourself. Awesome action and will from 2 warriors. Just think about a prime for prime bout between Evander Holyfield and Larry Holmes. Okay, now wake up, pay attention to this instead. Larry was unable to outfox Holyfield as he'd done Mercer, and it went down as a decision win for the champion. Still, Larry looked like he belonged. He isn't done just yet. Happy Halloween as England gifts us Razor Ruddock versus Lennox Lewis. Ruddock's stock was high after the Mike Tyson duology, and it all came crashing down when he was dominated by Lewis in the 2nd round. Looks like there's a new contender on the block. This match was the first in a 4-man tournament to decide the undisputed title. This match is the 2nd in a 4-man tournament to decide the undisputed champion. The winner of Evander Holyfield versus Riddick Bowe is slated to face Lennox Lewis for the crown. So who won? Just as Lewis emerged as legit, Bowe would do the same by getting the better of Holyfield over 12 thrilling rounds. The 10th round is one of the greatest in championship boxing history. Absolutely watch this fight for yourself. Make the time. Looks like that Olympic rematch is on deck, and for the undisputed championship at that. How unfortunate. The Riddick Bowe and Lennox Lewis camps failed to reach an agreement for a fight, so Bowe trashed the belt and Lewis was made the titleist. This event still haunts the legacy of Bowe, and probably will forever. Who would have won had these two 6'5" monsters clashed around this specific time period? I guess we'll never know, but let me know in the comments. Lennox Lewis is the new WBC champion. The setbacks just keep coming. The winner of this affair between Ray Mercer and Jesse Ferguson was slated for a title bout against Riddick Bowe. Mercer left the boxing world disappointed when he not only fell to Jesse but allegedly offered a bribe for his victory. Had Mercer won, he and Bowe would have settled who America's best heavyweight from the '88 Olympics truly was. And too bad. In the main event, unified champion Riddick Bowe made former WBA titleist Michael Dokes look like fodder. It was over in the first round. Dokes hasn't been the same since that devastating loss to Riddick, or really the loss to Holyfield. Another display of the sport's evolution, by the way. 6'5" just trumped 6'3", and emphatically. And it kind of hurts me to say that because I ain't 6'5", but I am 6'3". Well, no Lewis versus Bowe, but we've got Lennox against Tony Tucker. It was a good fight too, but you shouldn't be surprised because Tucker proved himself against Iron Mike back in '87, if you remember. Lewis won a decision, helped by 2 knockdowns. I know. This should have been Riddick Bowe versus Ray Mercer. It ain't though, so stop crying. The champion made easy work of Jesse Ferguson, rubbing salt into the wound for us fans. It was over in the second round. Chalk another one up for Big Daddy Bowe. Well, the last time we saw old Tommy Boy, he was vanquished by Ray Mercer. He's up against another devastating puncher, but one past his prime. Against George Foreman, Tommy Morrison boxed wisely from the outside to score the decision win. Can't blame him, considering old George can still end a fight with one punch. Congrats to the new WBO title holder. I think Frank Bruno took offense to Lennox Lewis claiming the flag of England after all. When they clashed, Lewis found himself tested by the brute Bruno, but Lennox broke through in the 7th and bashed his man's skull in. With Bruno stopped on his feet, Lewis had a staple win under his belt. Good turnaround for Tommy Morrison, but wouldn't you know it, he's about to blow it again. Michael Bent wasn't expected to do much, but he did it all. Morrison was down 3 times for the TKO, and we have a new WBO champ. All this in the first round. If you thought we weren't going to do this thing again, you were delusional. Riddick Bowe and Evander Holyfield engaged in a rematch that lived up to the expectations. Though this time, there was outside interference from a man parachuting into the venue. More on that in a special edition. This time, Holyfield squeaked out a majority decision victory, and he was once again heavyweight champion. Tragedy at hand. Michael Bent's heated defense of the WBO title resulted in a new titleist in Herbie Hyde. Unfortunately, it also resulted in Bent falling into a coma and having to retire. He did, however, make a full recovery. The 2-time heavyweight champion welcomes the challenge of another heavyweight who ascended from the lower ranks. Holyfield started strong and looked to be on his way to success, but Moorer rallied and won a decision to become the new champion. Holyfield, due to heart problems, retired afterward. Back on the hunt for the crown he lost, Riddick Bowe met Buster Mathis, a junior. It was light work, And not a surprise, given Bowe belongs to the class of heavyweights that include Holyfield, Lewis, etc. You get the picture. However, Bowe did hit Mathis when he was already down. If Lennox Lewis wins this fight, he will defend the WBC title next against Riddick Bowe. Oliver McCall completely derailed one of the biggest lost chapters in heavyweight boxing history when he scored a flash knockout to win the WBC title. That's it. And Lewis is in ruins. You gotta be kidding me. Old timer, this may be your last chance. I mean, isn't this a waste of time anyway? Michael Moorer just beat Evander Holyfield, who beat George Foreman already. There's no way this old man is knocking Moorer out in the 10th round after playing possum. No way, Jose. Congratulations, George. You're the new oldest heavyweight champion ever at the age of 45. Hey, don't look at me like that. I did warn you back in, what year was that? I don't really remember right now, but back when we were talking about Jersey Joe Walcott, back when he beat Ezra Charles. Yeah, go back, go click the video and find out. I told you. The WBA stripped George Foreman of their title due to his refusal to fight mandatory Tony Tucker. It is what it is, but old George is still the heavyweight to beat. Don't get it twisted. In a great show of heart, title holder Herbie Hyde ran into the wall that was Riddick Bowe. Despite being shaken up himself, Bowe dropped Hyde a plethora of times in a slugfest that concluded in the 6th. Congrats to the new WBO titleist, and go watch this fight for yourself. George Foreman's lost WBA title would be captured by Bruce Seldon in a 7th round stoppage win. Yep, and over Tony Tucker, the measuring stick. That's pretty defining. Hats off to the missile. Last chance, old man. Larry Holmes is up for the very title he held in his immaculate prime back in the 80s. Unfortunately for Larry, this wasn't to be a triumph akin to George Foreman. McCall didn't come to play and retained his title. You can't knock an old lion for trying. Back on the defense is the miracle champion George Foreman. Axel Scholz put on a good showing, going head-to-head with the champ. Some thought he did enough to win, but he didn't according to the judges. George Foreman retains, controversy or not. The return is at hand. Evander Holyfield is back and bold to take on Ray Mercer. Proving himself, Holyfield became the first man to drop Mercer en route to a unanimous decision win. Welcome back. The IBF title was vacated by George Foreman. He refused to rematch Axel Scholz and now holds only the lineage. That's high mark still. He's still the man to beat. A bit of do or die for both of these former big-time challengers. Razor Ruddock fell off after being destroyed by Lennox Lewis, and Tommy Morrison has been deadly inconsistent. The two both brought the action. Morrison was down in the 1st and in trouble up until he countered with a knockdown of his own in the 6th. From here, he swarmed Ruddock over and over until the stoppage on his feet. That's a good win for the Duke. Another huge return on deck. We haven't seen Mike Tyson since 1991. Will he shake up the division, or has he lost his bite? His bite appeared all there against Peter McNeely. The action was over in the 1st round after 2 knockdowns, of course executed by Iron Mike. Oliver McCall has done well to prove he isn't a one-off title holder. Frank Bruno has chased the crown since the 80s and fallen short. That ends today as Bruno took the title off of McCall by decision. Got a little scary in the end, but Bruno pulled it off. Lennox Lewis and Tommy Morrison were supposed to meet earlier than this, but better late than never. In this clash, despite his amazing showing against Razor Ruddock, Morrison was outclassed by Lennox. There were 4 knockdowns before the stoppage in the 6th. Lewis has rebounded well so far. But where does Tommy go from here? If you really thought we weren't going to do this thing again, I don't know what to tell you. Evander Holyfield and Riddick Bowe just go together like Ali and Frazier, bread and butter. The rubber match was a car crash as both men tasted the canvas. The first time for Bowe in his career, by the way. It was over in the 8th by stoppage in favor of Bowe. Congratulations to the best heavyweight in the world. Last time around, and I mean back in 1989, Frank Bruno made Mike Tyson look partially human before Tyson stopped him. This time, the new Iron Mike stopped Bruno in the 3rd round in a stellar showing. Tyson is the new WBC titleist and will look to reunify the division again. In one of the best battles and tests of will against two beasts, Lennox Lewis and Ray Mercer went to war. It was the grandest test yet for Lewis as he survived the arguable best version of Mercer. In fact, he didn't just survive, he got the nod. To this day, many debate who actually won this fight. Tell me in the comments, who did you favor? And if you've never watched this fight, go watch it in full. Looks like Lennox Lewis may be ready to contest Riddick Bowe for that best heavyweight in the world title. We're so close. Before we can have Riddick Bowe versus Lennox Lewis and decide who the best heavyweight in the world truly is, Bowe has to defeat Andrew Golota. He did, but it's complicated. Golota got the best of Bowe, but he couldn't stop fouling. After one too many low blows, the action was called. A rematch, of course, is on deck. And Bowe better bring it. We can't lose out on Lewis versus Bowe. Come on. We haven't touched on the Olympics since '88, but this one begs for attention. As super heavyweight, Vladimir Klitschko of Ukraine captured gold. What's so special about him? Well, Dr. Steelhammer would go on to... I'll tell you later. Unification. Kinda. Bruce Seldon and Mike Tyson met in a farce, depending on who you ask. Tyson got the win in the first round to claim the WBA title, but it looked like Seldon didn't really get hit. Whatever the case, Tyson now holds 2 of the belts. Tell me what you think of this one in the comments. Did Seldon take a dive? This bout's pathing included Francois Botha beating Axel Scholz for the vacant title, but having his win reversed due to a failed steroid test. Botha received the opportunity again, but fell to ex-champion Michael Moorer. There were 2 knockdowns en route to the stoppage in the 12th. Finally, a lost chapter cometh. Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield met to contest the WBA title, and in a shocker, the seemingly washed Holyfield stopped Tyson on his feet in the 11th. There was a knockdown and some controversy around headbutting, but more on that in the special edition. Evander Holyfield is the new WBA titleist. Put up or shut up, Riddick Bowe. Is Andrew Golota this man's kryptonite, or is Bowe just washed? Riddick looked better this time, dropping Golota, but the fight devolved into a darker mirror of the first, with Bowe going down himself and enduring perhaps the worst beating of his career. Again, Golota couldn't put Bowe away, and he fouled low, leading to Bowe winning by DQ again. Bowe walked away from boxing the next year, and the fight with Lennox Lewis was lost to time. You gotta be kidding me. Big time proving grounds here. First off, Mike Tyson parted ways with the WBC title after paying Lennox Lewis step-aside money to face Evander Holyfield. Lewis, in a rematch against his conqueror Oliver McCall for the WBC title, avenged his legacy. McCall had a breakdown and refused to fight, but a win is a win. An unexpected sleeper cometh. David Tua and Ike Ibeabuchi put on a CompuBox record-shattering performance in which they swung for the fences for 12 rounds. No heavyweights before had thrown as many punches in a match. It was action-packed all the way through. Oh, and Ibeabuchi won. Give it a watch. That was quite the upset last time, but can Evander Holyfield pickle Iron Mike Tyson again? Not to be. But not in the way you think. Holyfield looked to be on his way to doing so again, but Iron Mike felt he was being cheated via fouling and elected to bite Holyfield. Twice he was disqualified, and Holyfield had retained the WBA title. Andrew Golota had sent Riddick Bowe packing into retirement in embarrassing fashion, so Bowe and Lennox Lewis never got it on. Triangle theory is up to the plate, kinda. Lewis absolutely sunned and eviscerated Golota in the opening round behind 2 knockdowns. Lennox Lewis looks like a whole new beast now, and maybe it's good he and Bowe didn't collide. For Bowe's sake, I mean. Let's finally unify some of the titles. Evander Holyfield would continue his excellence against the odds of aging against conqueror Michael Moorer. This time, Evander managed to enforce his will on Moorer with multiple knockdowns. The fight was stopped before the 9th could begin by the ringside doctor, and for the better, the real deal has added the IBF title to his wall. The ripe, old, big George Foreman. His age had shown in previous bouts, but he appeared to have enough in the tank for this one against the rising young lion Shannon Briggs. Despite this, Briggs received the nod and was the new lineal champion. The great George Foreman called it a career afterward. May the legend rest in peace. We lost him earlier this year. Time to unify some more of the titles. Shannon Briggs has the chance to silence any talk of the gift he received against George Foreman against the peaking Lennox Lewis. He failed to do so, falling to the superior man and fighter. Lewis, to his credit, absorbed some solid blows from the hard-hitting Briggs. He dropped Briggs 3 times before the TKO in the 5th. Lennox Lewis is now the man, having captured the lineage. Evander Holyfield returned to defend his unified WBA and IBF titles against Von Bean. Holyfield appeared to have lost some of the thunder he'd sported since 1996, and perhaps at the worst time heading into unification for the undisputed crown. Still, he won a unanimous decision. Our young buck is up and at him. Vladimir Klitschko, the reigning super heavyweight gold medalist, met Ross Purity. He was having his way before he gassed and was stopped in the 11th round. A stunning derailment, but the youngster has many years to bounce back. The Two-Eliminator may not have a spotless record anymore, but he still holds one of the most dangerous punches in the sport. This proved true when, despite being outboxed, Tua caught Hasim Rahman with a left hook in the 9th. It was after the bell, but it changed the trajectory of the fight as Rahman never recovered and was stopped in the 10th. We haven't seen this troubled soul since he bit Evander Holyfield and was suspended. Mike Tyson, to the tune of DMX, engaged Francois Botha in a good enough showing. Tyson ended Botha in the 5th after struggling in the first 4 rounds. Can you feel it? For the first time since 1992, the crown is coming together again. Lennox Lewis, in the eyes of many, got the better of Evander Holyfield over 12 rounds, but the judges called the fight a draw and the titles remained splintered. Book the rematch. We need an undisputed champion before the millennium shifts. You ready? Ike Ibeabuchi is always going to give you a show. Against Chris Bird, there was no exception. It was over in the 5th, And you can't miss that monstrous unleashing by Ike that floored the sweat off of Bird. Sheesh, I'd never want to get hit by that. Sadly, Ibeabuchi's career would come to a striking end. More on that in the special edition. Did I mention there's another Klitschko? It's older brother Vitaly, and he's got a shot at restoring the family name. He did just that by snatching the WBO title from Herbie Hyde. There were 2 knockdowns, and it was over in the second. I'm gonna cut to the chase with this one. Let's clear the picture so the viewer can see. Come on. Yeah. Did you see it? Yep. Oleg Maskav just floored Hasim Rahman out of the ring for the victory in the 8th round. Rahman's career wouldn't really recover until the new millennium. Okay. No games. Let's crown a new undisputed heavyweight champion. Once again, Lennox Lewis got the better of Evander Holyfield. However, Evander did do better this time, and there are some who believe he did enough to win. What do you think? Either way, Lennox Lewis is the undisputed champion, and the division is in one piece again at last. So concludes the Silver Age of heavyweights. These guys put on a show, the best show since the Golden Age, in my opinion. Did you expect so many more names to join Mike Tyson in fame, especially considering Tyson's dominance in the 80s? I don't think many did. Lennox Lewis, Evander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe, Ray Mercer, Michael Moore, the list goes on, even old-timers like George Foreman and Larry Holmes. The roster was stacked in the 90s. For a more detailed, extensive look at the 1990s heavyweight division, become a member to enjoy the special 4-hour cut exclusively here on BoxingPedia. You want a sample? 1990 is available to watch for free. Click or tap the bubble in the top right corner or check the bottom of the description. Did you like this video and do you want to save it for a rewatch? Press the like button. Also, a special message to all my subscribers and would-be subscribers. Ring the bell for my channel so that you get every notification. Some of you have been asking questions that were answered in my community posts. Ring the bell, be up to date, and may God bless you. This is the Charles Jackson, and thank you.